I'm Patrick Wilson. You're watching Geekscape.
You know what? Usually this StreamYard thing pops it right over to me. This is Jonathan. You're watching Geekscape. And if you're watching live, that was our good friend Patrick Wilson who gave us a little intro. I was going through the hard drives and I found a bunch of old station IDs that we did for Geekscape at different press junkets and things like that. And I said, hey, let's play the Patrick Wilson one to get us started because he's our friend. And he has this documentary coming out this Friday called Moonfall. It's not a documentary. I'm being silly with you. This is Geekscape, where we're silly and we talk about pop culture. If this is your first Geekscape, we're going to talk movies, video games, comic books, all that stuff that is fun and in the now. I'm Jonathan. Nice to meet you. I'll be joined by Katie, my co-host, here in a little bit, and we have a fantastic episode. My friend Jason Inman is here. He's got a brand new Kickstarter coming for the second issue of his comic Super Best Friend. He was here for the first Kickstarter, which funded in a few hours. Listen, I'm not worried about this guy, this Jason Inman. He's a talented writer. He's a good-looking dude, and he's extremely charismatic. He's going to be fine, and you're going to love him, too, if this is your first time meeting him. But yes, he's got a Kickstarter he's talking about, and he's our guest today. What else? Oh, Nazis are back. That's fun, as if that's any surprise over the last couple of years. We've had Nazis back. Did y'all see this? I'm recording on a Monday. Saturday, this past weekend, they had a nice Nazi rally in Orlando, Florida on an overpass. They're hanging flags that said "Vax the Jews" and "Let's go Brandon." I think they misspelled Brandon. They left out the D. Nazis aren't necessarily smart, but it does lead to a topic we'll be talking about later on this episode: the banning of mouse. Banning books, not necessarily a good idea. I don't know why you would ban anything. Maybe just to bring attention to it, to make it number one on Amazon's book list, which is what happened with Mouse. We'll be talking about that, and maybe we'll try and get Jason's book banned to skyrocket it up the lists. We'll see. We'll find out what the contents of it are. That'll be fun. All right. Have I covered all the bases? I hope so. Y'all are watching this maybe live on Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube. Go ahead and hit the little subscribe button. And you know what would really be awesome? And guess what? We're the number 3 film interview podcast in Russia as of the recording of this episode. That's right. They love us. Go ahead and subscribe on whatever podcast app you use. That really helps us out. If you leave a review, that would be awesome. We're always adding shows to the Geekscape network. This is awesome. We just added this show called the $2 late fee podcast. They're awesome. I'm going to have them on the show soon. And those are great guys. But as we're adding shows, I just want y'all to remember, hey, this flagship show, we've been here for you for 15 years, free of charge. So the least you can do is share us with your friends. The best way to do that is in the podcast app. Help us be number 1 in Russia. That would be awesome. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I don't want that attention, but make us number 1 in Russia. Let's see what happens. Maybe Katie will go over there and be our Russian correspondent, but that'll only happen if you hit the share button, share us with your friends, subscribe yourself over on a podcast app, and write us a 5-star review. Now that business is out of the way, let's get the show started. Hey, Geekscapists, welcome to the Geekscape podcast. And like I said before, this is pop culture talk, movies, video games, comic books, TV. What do you think of that last Book of Boba Fett episode? That one lit the internet on fire. We'll talk about it here in a bit. But let's talk about this news. Let's see. We're here in the comments. And Christopher Robinson, well, he comes out of the gate hard. He says the only good Nazi is a dead Nazi. You sound like Indiana Jones. Katie Elsesser, wait a minute, she's my co-host. She says, I love that intro video. Yeah, it's pretty good. And Matt Kelly says, As of today, we have another brand new Geekscape podcast on the network called Undiscovered Scripts. This is a really cool one. Y'all are going to want to go to your podcatcher and look this one up. Undiscovered Scripts is where maybe a screenplay, for various reasons, didn't make it to production, but the film and the story should still be heard. What if it was like a radio drama? Well, in podcast form, that is possible. And Undiscovered Scripts is fantastic. We're going to have them on the show here pretty soon. And I'm really happy that we were able to add them to the network. The first episode, which I think is told in 4 parts over 4 downloads, go find it on your podcatcher, is called Back to the Future. Not Back to the Future, Back to the Future. And it's about a kid who has to go back in time to the set of Back to the Future and make sure that Eric Stoltz gets fired and replaced by Michael J. Fox, or his parents won't meet, and it won't happen. So it's kind of like Back to the Future, but going back to the Future. You guys get it. It's a funny screenplay. Our friend Nick Scown's roommate wrote it. You've seen Nick on the show many times, and he wrote this script that is that producible? Making a movie like that? Well, it makes a damn good podcast and radio drama. So we have it here on the Geekscape network. It's called Undiscovered Scripts. When you're done with this show, maybe go give it a listen. That'd be awesome. We'll have him here on the show here in a bit. Bolt T says, yeah, play the siren. That's a brand new show. So when y'all hear the siren, that means Matt Kelly has added a new show to the network. And Brad Abrams is a good friend of ours who's listening from Australia, or maybe watching it if you're watching this live. He says the intro is mint. Is that an Australian thing? It's mint. Is that like wizard? It's so wizard. I'm kidding. I'm making fun of that Star Wars lingo. Okay, Katie, get in here. Help me out with this. You're the funny one. How are things going?
Things are going well. Actually, speaking of funny, I just found out via TED Talk that humor, like laughing, is basically, mentally speaking, the same effect of having sex, having something like immensely happy happening at the same time, and like 3 other things. Laughing or laughter is part of that part of your brain. It's just like pure euphoria. So you know what, you're welcome out there, Geekscapists, for all the laughs.
Yeah, I mean, I figure we're doing a service. If they're not getting one, we might as well provide the other.
Oh,
wait, is that
hold on.
No, you Geekscapists grew up with us. I'm sure y'all are all listen, when we started Geekscape, Katie wasn't here. Girls wouldn't talk to us. All this stuff going on.
Girls didn't exist back then.
They didn't exist in the early days because the gatekeeping assholes were keeping them out. That being said, 15 years ago when we started Geekscape, all you had was the laughter that we provided. Now, I'm sure y'all are all incredibly socially adept human beings, just like me. Just kidding. I did listen to the new Geekscape Games episode before this. That one has a couple. That one has some eye-opening comments from our own Shane O'Hare. I do love him so much, but yes, there's one point in which he calls himself a socially adept geek. He likes to think of himself as such. I love Shane.
We all do
very much. I love Shane. Met him when he was stealing hubcaps off my car. Brought him in. He was my ward for a while. Oh wait, that's Jason Todd. We'll get to that. Anyway,
I was like, that's not the story I've heard.
No, that's not the story. But I do love Shane, and holy crap, that episode of Geekscape Games was.
That was a doozy for you.
It was a doozy. I was like, what? Do you mean we haven't hyped the Spider-Man PS4 game? We had Yuri Lowenthal on the show to talk about it. What do you mean we haven't talked about the Miles Morales PS5 game? We did our own special on it. Like, I can't with these kids. I can't. I try and educate them with Geekscape. I try and make them socially, like, I try and you're
spreading the good word of knowledge and all the geeky fun, but sometimes it's going to miss the mark on some people.
Katie, you can lead the horse to water.
You can't make it fucking Spider-Man on PS4.
I want to take some of them and I want to just grab them at the back of the head and push their head into the water and just keep it under there until they drink. You got to drink. Let me tell you, there's one of us who's doing pretty well for himself. His name is Big Yanks, Daniel Campazano. He's over there in Long Island. He is always up in the chat room. Maybe not tonight because he's got his hands full. He's got like a 1-year-old at this point, and I got to tell you, he's in the East Coast. Every time I wake up in the morning, usually I have a couple DMs from him. We like to talk early in the morning, and it's always about this kid who he's starting to indoctrinate into all the geek stuff. But check out this photo.
This hurts my heart.
No, don't be like that. Here's a photo that Big Inks sent me. I woke up to this morning. Here we go. It says, if you can see this, Geekscape on the stream. It is a picture of a PS5 case of a game. It's laying on the ground next to like a kid playscape, and it says in like a text, "This fucker keeps taking my PlayStation games and chews them and steps on them."
Just the utter disrespect.
All right. I mean,
The
this
fact
is
that
something...
he even has a PS5 is amazing. And
yeah, this is something we've talked about a lot. Like Heidi and I were like, "Listen, Jonathan, you have a lot of this geek stuff hanging around. If you
if you
get
get a
kids
kid,
into this, it's their stuff now." And you know what? That's what the storage unit's for. Put the kid in the storage unit.
Perfect. Yeah, no notes.
Yeah, that's
absolutely perfect.
No notes. But I sent that to Katie, and Katie's like, "Oh boy."
Look, I am widely known as not particularly fond of having kids. It's not in my cards. I don't think I don't want it. I know I don't want it. I don't think anybody trying to encourage me otherwise is going to do anything other than go over the same conversation over and over again. And I think those moments where I see that, it just confirms I'm okay without kids. I will take care of other people around me. I don't need kids.
Great. Well, I'm sending my kids one day to Katie. Here's Aunt Katie.
Yeah, for a day, and then I get to
chew on
peace
whatever
out.
the hell you want. Put a saddle on that cat and ride it around. Whatever the hell you want to do, kids. You're Katie's problem now. Hey, Uncle Mark. Hey, Aunt Katie. Okay, that's enough. I'm not sending them to Katie. I'm going to send them to Aunt and Uncle Jason and Ashley. They're regular guests. Here's Jason Inman. Jason, are you okay taking care of my kids for a day?
No. I'm sorry. I'm busy writing an iTunes review for Geekscape. Hold on a second. This is actually going to be on the site. I'm just going to say, Jonathan has a silky smooth voice. Anyone that promotes the punching of Nazis is the best. Listen to this podcast. And he had Patrick Wilson on the show. Ocean Master. Yeah, boy.
I'm telling you,
so much
my
wetness.
Guy.
Hashtag bring a wetsuit.
I'm telling you, Night
stars.
Owl.
That's a real review. I just love that.
My boy Night Owl, is that right? And, and
Mr. Hard Candy. Remember that movie? But yes. No, I will not babysit your kids. No.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, do you want to go see Moonfall this weekend with me? That documentary Moonfall, where the moon
falls
into the Earth. Yeah, it's a Roland Emmerich documentary where the space scientists have to go and keep the moon from falling into the Earth. You know this one?
The poster is terrifying.
There's a billboard actually pretty close to my house of it. And I don't... you enjoy that one. You have fun with that.
I'll tell you what. I went on YouTube and they had the first 5 minutes of Moonfall up and I watched it. It's kind of tight.
Does it fall?
No, but Patrick Wilson's like a spaceman working on the Endeavor kind of ship. He's working up there on a ship, fixing he's fixing like a solar panel or something, and then stuff starts hitting while he's out there on his moonwalk with his buddy, and his buddy don't make it. I'll just spoil that one for you.
Whoa!
But it is straight up Roland Emmerich action like you love. And man, where's Movie Pass when you need it? Because this one would have been prime for the Movie Pass.
This is a matinee movie.
This is a matinee movie.
Price for.
And Patrick Wilson survives because he's the hero of the movie, but he survives the first 5 minutes. And he looks at the moon, and there's like stuff spewing out of the moon because the moon is about to moonfall. And I was like, "Wow, this looks tight."
Does he have a lasso? Or he's like, "All right, I know my mission."
I don't know what's happening with the moonfall. I have to watch the
moon's
movie.
falling. That's what's happening.
I got to tell you though,
was that a It's a Wonderful Life reference?
No,
where he's like, I'm gonna lasso the moon, Mary.
Oh my gosh, that was such an unintentional Jimmy Stewart reference, but yes, now, and I feel like Patrick Wilson could play a Jimmy Stewart-esque type person.
Sure, he could.
I like Patrick Wilson.
Patrick Wilson should just be in all the movies.
Yeah.
He should be in most of them.
Yeah, I think all of them. I think it should be a stipulation in Hollywood that Patrick Wilson is in all your movies.
Yeah.
A Thelma and Louise remake. He can pick either Thelma or Louise. Is that what you're saying?
I think he can play both at the same time.
He plays
we have the technology.
Jason, if he was a Marvel character, who would you cast him as?
Oh, Patrick Wilson?
Yeah.
Oh, this character's already cast, but he would have been a perfect 30s to 40s-ish Hank Pym.
Yeah. No, he totally would have been.
Yeah.
You know who I wanted to have as
now 30s, I don't know.
As okay, let's say they do this. Let's say they made these Ant-Man movies with Hank Pym. in the this is my Hank Pym. I don't think I've ever told you this, Jason.
Sure.
This was going to be late 90s Hank Pym. It would have been Greg Kinnear.
Oh, that's a good choice. That's a good choice.
Yeah.
Oscar nominated Greg Kinnear.
Greg Kinnear is an actor that a lot of people sleep on. He's great.
Just saying.
Yeah. He should be in every movie.
And he used to host didn't he
Talk
host
Soup?
that? No. Well, he used to Talk Soup.
And later.
What was that?
Later was like a late night show.
Yes,
after David
that's
Letterman.
the show.
Yes.
Yeah. It was like the one that Carson Daly took over.
I'll tell you what. In Bob Costas after him, I'll tell you what. Geekscape is. You wouldn't be watching no Geekscape if it wasn't for Greg Kinnear. We've talked about this on Geekscape. We've talked about this.
Okay.
He was a big influence, which is so random. But Bold T has a good suggestion. He says, you know what, Patrick, since it looks like they're going Secret Wars sooner or later in the Marvel Universe, it says Patrick Wilson could be Molecule Man.
Not a bad choice.
Not a bad choice. Patrick Wilson as Molecule Man. That throw him in the villain category, but I think he'd be good. He can do whatever. He's Patrick Wilson.
I'll throw you out another one. Patrick Wilson, if they do this, and I don't want this character in the MCU, but if they do the Sentry, Patrick Wilson.
Yes.
Forgive me.
Yes.
This is going to be one of those educate.
Katie.
You're going to have to educate me on this one. Who's the Sentry?
The Sentry is a Marvel character that should have only appeared in one story, but people keep bringing him back.
I don't see why. Damn you, Bendis.
Yeah, he is basically Marvel's Superman.
Okay.
Even though that should actually be the one who's on the Squadron Supreme.
But the reason why I made that comment, Katie, is that the first story the Sentry ever appeared, Marvel marketing and the story were trying to sell the readers on this whole thing that they were like, oh, this is a character from the 1960s Marvel that Marvel just forgot. Stan forgot about it. We all forgot about it.
We found it in a file cabinet.
We found it in a file cabinet.
We found this in a
we're going to publish
cabinet.
It. Great marketing. And then at the end of the story, you found out, nope, they lied to us the entire time. And the idea is that the Sentry is also his own worst enemy. Like he has a duplicate that is the worst.
Void.
Called the Void. And if he knows he's the world's greatest superhero, then the Void knows that he's the world's greatest supervillain, and the Void screws and a lot of stuff up. So it's better to make the Sentry forget who he is than have him be the Sentry.
So like they want to have like the Illuminati, let's say in the Marvel universe, like let's say like Professor X, who's a he can mess with your mind. He would like force the Sentry to forget, so that the Void, whose powers as a villain are equal to the Sentry's as a hero. Okay. So the Void disappears. So they would basically force amnesia on this guy.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
But then he starts getting his memory back. And of course, when he starts getting his memory back, he's like, what did somebody do to me? And he's super pissed.
Yeah.
And then he becomes the Void.
Nothing helped. He's not a character that, I mean, I think Paul Jenkins wrote that first.
It was Paul Jenkins. He's only cool in that first story.
He's only good in those first 5 issues. Story,
he's really interesting. But then every writer since then is like, you know what? Who should be on the Avengers? The Sentry.
He's just like, it's like a Captain Marvel. Like he has to like you have to have a reason for him to not be in the fight, or he just ends the fight. It was like,
because he's so
powerful.
Yeah,
so
why did
powerful.
Thor disappear in the middle of Civil War? It's like if Thor is at the tarmac, it ends. He ends the fight. And the Sentry is a lot like that too. The Sentry would punch a hole through Thanos and be like, "I got this glove. Y'all need it?"
Yeah. He basically just rip off Thanos' arm and the fight's over.
But that also brings up like the idea that Marvel does have the Squadron Supreme, which is the Marvel JLA. In Hyperion is the
that same character.
Same character, but Squadron Supreme is such. More so recently have been like they're such bootlickers that they're almost like assholes in the Marvel universe. And we did have like I thought it was a pretty good Avengers storyline where the actual Avengers with T'Challa and Captain America and Iron Man and Captain Marvel is like that had to go up against Squadron Supreme in a world that the Squadron Supreme controlled, and you were in the Marvel characters didn't remember who they were forced there. And they were separated, right? And Blade starts remembering, and he has to get the Avengers together to be like, hey, this world ruled by the Squadron Supreme, this isn't right. We got to correct this and figure this all out. and reset the planet. And that was an okay storyline. The Avengers has been kind of an up and down book recently, but I'll still read it because it's a great way to get all of your Marvel bang in one book. Speaking of books that are fun to read, Katie's never read Mouse. And if it's up to the education board over in Illinois, she's not going to read Mouse because they're trying to ban it. What the F? And as if it wasn't like hitting something on the head, it's literally about Nazis. It's the concentration camps. The cats send mice to the concentration camps, and it is the most beautiful book. I think both of those are incredible. They're top 5 books. To me, they're top 5 graphic novels
to ever win a Pulitzer Prize.
Wow!
It's the first comic book to, and they want it banned. Yeah.
So as soon as I heard about this, I called up my local comic book store and I was like, "Do you guys have this in stock?" And they were like, "No, we've actually sold out since the news hit." And I'm like, "Good, okay, great." Like that was my main point of that. And also I was like, "Oh, how have I never like?" It felt like vaguely familiar, but as Jonathan has discovered slowly, my childhood was like a mix of just like expectations shattered, and like I never got into comics or anything because it wasn't really available, and like I had, as I told Jonathan earlier today, I had Jesus comics, but I didn't like really get into like all those until I was like later in life, into like actual comic books until later in life. And I was like, oh, this is like a really cool way to see these play out. Yeah, but I didn't get.
We're deprogramming Katie, by the way.
We are.
That's the purpose of Geekscape.
Learning a lot. But yes, no, it's great being an adult and like having your own income to be like, oh, there's a comic book store around the corner. I'm gonna spend a lot of money here. But yeah, no, the story seems so fascinating to me. The way it's told, like the images, everything looks great, and I'm so ready. I'm just bummed I don't have access to it yet.
You will. This is a book that won't be banned. And I'm sorry, but it's the United States of America. Like this book is not going to be banned. There will be a civil war before these kind of books are banned.
Why did they think that they were really going to do this? Like how did they think
you can have a hard conversation about the Holocaust existing.
Yeah.
Like these people, listen, kids aren't trying to ban these books. There's a bunch of old people who don't want to have they're erasing history so they can repeat history is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like you erase history so you can repeat history. And like I was saying in the intro, like you got a bunch of people doing Nazi rallies already in Orlando. They're doing a damn good fine job of erasing history so people can repeat history. They don't want to have tough conversations about, some people we were related to and kind of look like put a bunch of people in concentration camps or kept them out of schools or kept them out of voting or threw Molotovs into their windows or put crosses up on their lawns and lit them on fire. They don't want to have those conversations. They also don't want to have conversations about guns, but whatever, it's psychotic.
One step at a time.
I looked up.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna say I looked up specifically because at this point I knew we were gonna talk about this. I didn't know what specifically they said were the issues. So here are the actual reasons they're stating why they're banning this book, and they are still ridiculous. It's because there are 8 curse words, and the imagery of a nude woman in the book. That's the reason why. 8 curse words and a nude woman.
The woman's a mouse.
Yeah, I know.
No, like
she's got a mouse head.
Does she have like the 8 nipples? So it's like she's got like 4 bras. She's just like each frame is one bra coming off.
No, it's a humanoid. It's a humanoid mouse. Yeah. But
okay.
But for 12-year-old Jonathan, like
she had some bizarreness.
No, you can't. I like even 12-year-old Jonathan, who was like pining for that kind of stuff. It's the imagery of a concentration camp, and it is a metaphor for a Jewish person being stripped naked before they're put into a work camp or gas chamber. Like this is such a beautiful book. And
that's what I find interesting when you have imagery like that, which I'm guessing is like an emaciated mouse or something.
It was.
First of all, it's a mouse showing titties, but like the context of it is not at all sexual. So what is it exactly that we're saying is that we're banning this because just the naked body is now sexual, like while they're in a concentration camp? Like there's some like weird thought process behind this in my mind.
It's all about part of this. What's it called? The history. What do they call it? What's the tagline for teaching history now? Is like, this is critical race theory. Like it's all part of that. It's like we're just going to avoid tough conversations with our kids. It's not critical race theory. It's erasing history,
Right.
and I mean, it's insane. I had lunch earlier last week with someone who had working on an option for a series for a book that another former Geekscape guest, Judd Winnick, made called Pedro and Me, and tried to bring it. It's a fantastic book, but it is about AIDS, and it is about Pedro Zamora dying of AIDS. And Judd Winnick, who shared the house with him in real world San Francisco, had to witness his friend dying of AIDS. And he's a cartoonist. He wrote Green Lantern for a long time. He still puts out a book called Hilo. That's for young readers. And he made this beautiful book called Pedro and Me. And those stories need to be shared. People need to know about this. And I hope it makes it to another medium. I hope these contracts work out and we see Pedro and Me get a new life as a TV show or a movie. I don't know. But just like, those are the kind of books they want to ban. To be like, oh yeah, no, this is somebody else's problems, and we're not going to talk about this because we want to repeat it. Like,
why under the guise of like language or like indecency? Why not just outright say it?
Call yourself a Nazi?
Yeah. Why not? Why not just claim it? Like, there's so many people on Facebook already doing that for us. But like, you know what I mean?
Because if I do, then Indiana Jones won't like me. And I like watching Indiana Jones. And I'm going to go see Indiana Jones 5 6 or 7 times in theaters. And I can't have Indiana Jones not like me.
Are we the baddies?
There's nudity.
Am I the bad guy?
That's what I hope all these people in Florida, like the next time they flip on whatever streaming service Indiana Jones is on, and they're like, "Oh, Indiana Jones doesn't like me? What?"
No, Indiana Jones thinks you're an asshole.
Yeah, Indiana Jones would shoot you.
You have not chosen wisely, and I know that the Punisher is problematic. I know that the imagery behind the Punisher skull has now been co-opted by hate groups and stuff like that, and sure. Figure it out, because the Punisher absolutely would be going after these people who are co-opting his image.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
Putting them, like, figure it out. I think that those vigilante characters are still like, oh wait, the Punisher doesn't like me? Oh, I'm wearing his t-shirt at the rally. Right. No, the Punisher would absolutely hate you. I think you suck. So yeah, Katie, let's get you a copy of Mouse. I think it's fantastic. I think that's required reading. That really is required reading for everybody. And I love that you're trying to support your local comic shop. Did you see what that one did you see that with that one? Here's a copy of Mouse for those of you Geekscapists who are watching this live. If you don't know what Mouse is, here's the cover of the book right there. But
really not subtle about the imagery.
No, not subtle at all. It is literally
so it's like, we know why you're
in a concentration camp. And there's a second book, and I think the second book's fantastic. And it looks like the complete Mouse is available, that you can get both first and second books right there. What this one bookstore though did was like, you know what, screw it. If these things are hitting the #1 bestsellers and this is working out, I'm going to put all the banned books that have ever been banned in the US on one table. And there was you found this on Facebook, Katie, with this image here, are all the books that have been banned in US history. And at one point, like A Light in the Attic, which are like poems,
it's a Shel Silverstein. Yeah, and
the Lorax was banned. Fahrenheit 451,
I had to look
Lord
this
of the
up.
Flies, The Kite Runner.
Because A Light in the Attic by Shel Silverstein is like the front image. It's like the one that you can make out the clearest. Also the Lorax. But I had to look this up to figure out. I was like, why would you ban Shel Silverstein? This is insane. And it was because of violent thoughts. And I was like,
then you're gonna ban
in Florida, of all places, which is iconic for Florida man does whatever. Maybe he should have picked up Shel Silverstein's A Light in the Attic and find like a different way to express themselves.
Have the two of you also heard about the GoFundMe for Mouse?
Ooh, no.
Okay, so I'm gonna drop this link, Jonathan, in the private chat. Okay. I found out about this a couple hours before the project. Nirvana Comics in Knoxville, Tennessee, the state that's trying to ban it, went to GoFundMe to raise money.
Tennessee, not Illinois. My mistake.
Excuse me. Okay. They went to GoFundMe to raise money to send copies of Mouse to students, and they originally were going to go buy 1,000 copies. They asked for 20 grand. They are currently at $88,000 to buy copies of Mouse to send to the state.
Okay, let me share this.
I'm so into this.
What a cool comic book! Like Nirvana Comics in Tennessee, you rock.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't wait to see like, and that's what I like. I like this like idea of like, okay, if your school's going to ban this, if your state's going to ban this, let's make this widely and almost freely available for this sector of population, because it's like there might be a reason why they're trying to ban this.
You know what? Maybe that's how we got into number 3 film interview podcast in Russia, was because somebody out there is like, this Jonathan guy. No. We don't like what he's saying. We don't like the super action man, and we gotta do something about him. And let's try and get Jason's book banned. Jason, are you all right with us trying to get your book banned? This one that you're on here talking about?
Barely anybody reads it as it is, so go for it.
Oh, let's ban this book. Okay, let's see.
Please.
Geekscape, as we're talking. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, there is an electric Superman type character in it, so maybe it should be banned.
Oh,
or at least cease and desisted. Bold T says, I learned on Geekscape the okay hand gesture is now a no. That's right.
Yeah, and I keep using it, and I'm like,
God.
No, because I'm just like, every time I say no notes or like it's perfect, I like do a chef's kiss type of like, yeah, it's perfect. Or I guess a doobie. That's really a doobie.
Katie,
don't do it upside down. Don't do the upside down.
That
because that's the one that spells out the WP for white power.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Like the three digits over here, and then the O from the ring. You put it upside down, and with your arm, it's a WP for white power. That's how the OK symbol turned into white power. So you'd see these assholes in photos with this, that have it by their leg upside down. You think they're playing the game where, like, if you look at the ring, they punch each other in the arm. It's not that game.
No, that's
if they look at the ring, they nod at you and go, "Yeah, it's lynch time." Like, they're assholes.
My new campaign, or at least my campaign for the last couple of years, is make the upside down OK sign the asshole sign again, where it's like, oh, you looked at the anus. And then you would
sign. It is the white power asshole sign.
Can I ask
Bold T said, today I learned the same about the Punisher logo. So yeah, we're doing our listen, what are the tenets of what we try and do here at Geekscape? Educate, entertain, inspire. So let's cross a couple of those off the list right now.
Can I ask the two of you, why do you think I have no problem, again, like, if you passionately believe in something, go for it, whatever. That is one of the beautiful things about our country. But I don't know why these groups that are all about promoting and supporting just the things that, 100% of the population is like, no. It would be like child murderers being out there being like, but we want to murder children. And you're like, whoa, hey, whoa. But anyways, why is all their branding terrible? Like, let's go Brandon, and then the OK sign. You're like, look, there are better. Do some more pitches. There are better. Better symbols. It's all lame.
I think for the same reason that they fall. I mean, I'm just going to take a gander at this. I think for the same reason they fall into that kind of garbage double speak in the first place is they don't have access to the education. They don't have access to
widening their minds to different ideas.
No, they can see to the extent of becoming obstructionists.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is a group that became obstructionists in the 2016 election. They didn't have any options. I mean, nobody's given solutions. Nobody's been like, oh yeah, here's that healthcare plan I promise you. Nobody's shown that. There was never a healthcare plan. It was promised, but there never was one. It's just obstructionism. It's we don't care if we win. We don't care if we lose. We just don't want you to win.
Yeah.
And it's just obstructionism. There's nothing actually substantial there beyond we just don't want you to win. And that kind of tribalism doesn't need messaging. The messaging is we're not you. The messaging is you lose. Nobody's winning. It's just you lose. And that's the scary thing about it is there's a simplicity to that kind of let's go Brandon tribalism, because it doesn't have to stand for anything except you like shutting you down.
Yeah. I think especially when it's easily repeated, like it's the same thing as like the catchphrases, the MAGA stuff, like
the sloganism is what. Yeah,
the sloganism. Yeah, it's short. You can remember it more than you can remember bylaws or just history in general.
Why deal with all that shit?
Right. Why think further than a phrase
I
in a
did my own
way?
research. I found this bumper sticker.
There's
Fuck.
there was someone in the medical community that was posting on TikTok that was like, okay, if you are part of the medical community, has spent probably 10 years defending your thesis, then you did your research. Otherwise,
Yeah.
and then it's been tried and tested and questioned several times over to the point of like your madness. That's when you've done your research, not when you've just quoted a BuzzFeed article.
You mean I'm not supposed to listen to scientific opinions from the guy that I went to high school with who thinks Olive Garden is the best restaurant in town?
You know, it's shocking.
Nothing against Olive Garden.
Free
I'll tell you
bread.
what. Yeah, and Matt Kelly
people
loves
stuck
Spaghetti
in their
Warehouse.
hometown.
Well, have we said the Spaghetti Warehouse Matt Kelly story on the Geekscape podcast?
Spaghetti Factory?
Probably 17 times.
There's two. There is a Spaghetti Warehouse and there's a Spaghetti Factory.
Whatever it is.
There's a warehouse.
Matt begged us to go there at Comic-Con 2019 over and over again. Was like, and then he shows up and he eats like he doesn't have spaghetti. Yeah, what? He's like, we're like, what? You forced all of us to eat at this subpar restaurant. You didn't even have spaghetti.
I was waiting for you to say the restaurant was like, sir, we're gonna have to cut you off. That's enough noodles.
Oh, I wish. All I wanted was for Matt to partake in the spaghetti. It seemed so important to him as he was pining for it from Tuesday through Thursday to Saturday, and then Sunday evening. We're like, okay, Matt, like you've been a great sport. Like you manned the booth all these days. Like let's reward you. He shows up and he's like, he ate chicken Alfredo. I'll make you freaking chicken Alfredo.
He hates it.
Matt in the comments said I ate chicken Alfredo. I can understand that he now hates it because we bullied him so much for these choices.
Got it.
That being said, I did get an email today that we are coming back to Comic-Con San Diego this summer, and I think Friday exhibitors like ourselves are looking at hotel rooms, so we'll see what happens. Matt Kelly's back and he says, you guys made a big deal that I didn't order specifically spaghetti but a different pasta, and for 3 years you've made it sound like I ordered a fucking steak.
I wish you would.
Also, I
the good news is
a steak from those places.
The good news is after 15 years we found the thing that riles Matt up and really gets his goat.
Spaghetti Factory.
Jokes that are 3 years old.
Don't besmirch my Spaghetti Factory. We love you, Matt. You can hear Matt on half the shows on the podcast network. We love Matt. He's great. Okay, that's enough. We got a book to promote, and that book is Jason Inman's Super Best Friend issue 2, but I'm going to share a little link with y'all. That's the link to the Kickstarter. I got it right here. Let me make sure everything's queued up.
You can get issue 1 on this Kickstarter.
Hey,
okay,
great.
Okay, so this is Super Best Friend. We all read the first issue. He's got incentives for this one. Geekscape is the link. Let me just throw that up if you're watching it on the chat. The link to be a friend to Jason and support this is follow the Kickstarter, superbestfriendcomic.com. If you're listening to this and you just go to superbestfriendcomic.com, you'll have all the information you need. But yeah, the Super Best Friend is back. Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, but you had an idea for a Superman story. You knew that DC would probably never let you write the Superman story. So you're like, F it. I'm making my Superman story with my version of Superman.
I will throw this. I actually pitched this story to DC.
Nice.
And they said no.
Not so nice.
Well, they say at least they saved you the time of like being like, well, can I get a meeting? Like maybe down the road we can do this. They're like, no, go away, kid.
Yeah. So I decided, to do the thing like Jonathan, you and I talk about all the time, where why wait for somebody to give you permission? Tell the stories you want to tell. Mm-hmm. So I did the Alan Moore thing. I scraped all the names off of it and made my old characters. And I think the story is much stronger about it. And it's basically Maddie Moore, who is a stand-in for Jimmy Olsen, who's best friends with the world's greatest superhero called Captain Terrific, who has a very Silver Age style. And Maddie live streams all of his best friends' adventures onto the internet. Like, where if I think if superheroes existed in the real world, they would be the most watched things like video games are today. We would watch superhero videos of, Captain Terrific punching Amarok the Wolf and Lady Samurai helping out and doing other things like that. And in the first issue, Maddie accidentally live streamed his best friend's secret identity onto the entire internet. So the entire internet knows that his best friend, Captain Terrific, is Calvin Coleman. And this issue 2, we were on the surface of the superhero world, and now Matty is neck deep in the superhero world, trying to fix his friend's relationship and also figure out some way that he can repair his best friend's life. And this is going to lead him down into, supervillains are going to attack him. There are cybernetic clones. There are electric doppelgangers. And then even the United States Army decides to chase the two of these friends because they're like, hey, Calvin Coleman, aka, a Superman-like being, you're an American citizen. You're drafted.
We need a weapon like you.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's all of these factors and Matty just trying to survive. And I always say this was the catchphrase of the first campaign. It's definitely the catchphrase of this one is it's a story of watching a sidekick become a superhero. Because Matty is very much like, he's a fan of this world, but he doesn't think he brings any value to this world. And this story is teaching him that he has lots of value to bring and lots of things because he knows all of these superheroes. He knows all of these supervillains. So when you put that sort of together, you can kind of think about, well, oh, this sidekick might actually know how to take down all of these supervillains and these superheroes. He might know all their weaknesses, all these strengths, how to team them up, because he's paid attention to them in ways that other people haven't. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to Kickstarter with this because I love that you can tell any story on Kickstarter. I love when I see the same names come through on Kickstarter. And I always try to bring a lot of fun to the campaign. Like I try to do crazy fun stuff. And the first campaign was all about getting a foil cover because that's the 90s. That's very, This issue, I was very much like, you know what? I love Death of Superman, where there's a cyborg Superman. And I love Electric Superman, where there's an electric Superman. So I made Cyborg Terrific, and I made Cyborg Electric, Captain Electric Terrific.
Nice.
I actually called him Terrific Red, and I called him Cyborg Terrific. So, yeah.
The person who wrote those original comics, it was Dan Jurgens. He was involved in the original Death of Superman. You have a picture. Is he doing one of your covers?
That is correct, sir. Again, like chasing down the fun and everything like that, I reached out to Dan Jurgens, the man who got me to read comic books, the man who drew Death of Superman. And I said, hey, would you do a variant cover for Super Best Friend? And he said, yes. Now we can't reveal it here because it's been promised to another site, but
that's fine.
I will tell you,
you are no longer our super best friend. Thank you for that exclusive.
I'm sorry.
Well, maybe reach into like the top 20 of visual podcasts. Maybe that's what Jason will come out.
I promised this reveal to the #1 film podcast in Russia, and you're only #3, Jonathan.
Yep.
Katie, we're shipping you out.
Yep.
You got to get over there.
Sign me up, folks. I know a couple words in Russian.
Bolt T wants to know, is there an NFT in the Kickstarter reward tiers?
No.
Hey.
You know what? The bots have already scoured your Kickstarter site. There are now. You're about to get a cease and desist from some marketplace.
I barely understand NFTs, so no,
they're fucked, man. They're fucked up.
But there are
non-fungible transactions. Go ahead.
Yeah, there you go. There are cool things on this campaign. I always love to do cameos where you can get drawn into the comic book. I'm doing script reviews where I will, give you notes and tips on your scripts. There are Zoom calls with me, and also one of the funnest things is, as you saw in some of the artwork, there are little chat boxes on there where people watch the videos. And one of the tiers is that your name can be in the chat. Like names. You can complain about Matty or Captain Terrific in one of the chat boxes. So
that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and defend myself because Bolt T keeps come back with the #boomer alert. Let's just be clear. When somebody like Mike Mignola is getting ripped off from people selling Hellboy NFTs and he has nothing to do with them, that's not boomer alert. That is someone protecting their intellectual property. That a bot has gone out and scanned his artwork and his intellectual property into a marketplace as an NFT and started to make money off of it and sell it, that Mike Mignola gets none of. So this whole garbage that NFTs are supposed to help artists has done the exact opposite, because now artists can't put this stuff up on their marketplaces to sell or else some bot scans it into an NFT, and the next thing is they get some cease and desist from some marketplace somewhere selling NFTs that are like, hey, this is a registered marketplace NFT. What's this artwork doing on your website? Well, I fucking made it, asshole. And then you got to go through the rigmarole of getting the damn thing taken down. They're not going to do that. So
the same thing happened to Liam Sharp as well.
All these artists can't even put up commissions anymore because these bots are, are going and turning these damn things into NFTs, and you can't even make money off of commissions. So the only place artists can now make money is at conventions in person. So it's actually hurt artists more than anything. And so I take your boomer alert and I say, nah, just educate yourself. I'm not a boomer. I'm Generation X. So I don't give a fuck about what you say.
Well,
it's
been
a
nice
joke.
knowing you both.
But the crypto thing is a joke. The same thing happens when one of these cryptos start crashing, and it's like, oh, I can't access my Robinhood account, or it's like, yeah, no shit, because it's a fucking scam, and they don't want you taking their money out. It's the same reason like you're pumping up the NFTs, because it's a scam, and when you try and get their money out, it's not going to happen because the people at the top are laughing at you because they sold you a pog, you dunce. All right.
I wonder how you feel about NFTs.
Yeah. Oh, it's so stupid.
I will say
so
this.
Dumb.
Speaking of pogs, that might be a stretch reward.
Ooh,
you see how we tied it all in?
Awesome.
You see how I did the research, Katie, and I tied it all together?
Did the research.
You see how I did my own research? You see this? Superbestfriendcomic.com. Geekscape is where you can find all that information. And I hope, Volt T, good luck selling your NFTs. I got a quarter.
Amazing.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Jason, when did you first start making this comic?
I actually first started making this comic in 2019.
Oh wow!
The first issue. Yeah, it's been a long time, and basically it was because the artist that you're seeing on screen right now is the main series artist is George Kambadias, who drew like the Black Ghost for Amazon, and he's drawing the new John Carter. Oh, he's drawing a series called Buckhead for Boom right now.
Hey, that's awesome.
And he put up on Twitter, "Hey, I don't have any work. Anybody want to hire me?" And
no way.
I'd loved him for years, so I shot him a message and said, "Hey, I got this idea, Super Best Friend, blah blah blah. I'd never done it," and he was just like, "Yeah, send me the script." And I just quickly typed out a script, and boom, we started the ball rolling. And that's the fun thing about this is that like the issue 2 campaign is not paying for issue 2, the production. It's paying for the production of issue 3, the finale. So I always roll them forward. Issue 2 is like, it's 5 pages away from being completely done as of today.
Okay.
It's because George has a lovely life and he's writing 2 other books.
2019 really, it's truly not that long ago, especially for this kind of a project and like completing all this. So I find that insanely impressive.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, how many times have we had, friends or co-hosts or anything that like have like these ideas and like write the scripts and then toil over it for years and then don't get it. But like, well done on just like starting the ball rolling and just saying yes and continuing the process.
Thank you. Yeah. I always like to do a Kickstarter once every year. And as Jonathan can tell you, Kickstarters are hard.
Yes, they are. I know it. Yeah.
Just like
them almost as much as NFTs.
Oh yeah. Making movies,
but just like NFTs, you're playing with other people's money.
That's right. But I actually,
but you get something in the end. Yeah, you get something.
You actually will get a book. I will say that right now. I like
this JPEG?
I've actually emailed JPEGs as digital rewards, but not NFTs. So
okay, good to know.
You're the only person who has this picture of an ape with a beanie on it. You like it?
I have a friend who's in finance and has to explain NFTs to his wife because that's part of his, because he's part of he's a tax accountant.
Do you think this will bump you up in Russia or bump you down in Russia? I'm just curious.
I think it's really gonna light us on fire.
Okay, cool. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Katie. I didn't mean to.
No, absolutely not. No, I'm just like, I can't even imagine truly understanding NFTs, but then also having to be a tax auditor to like learn this and then on top of tax it. I can't. It's just my brain hurts.
It's protected by a chain, and
Blockchain.
you are in the line,
it's a specific
and you can
code.
tell other people that you have a place in line in the chain. If you pay more, you get further up the line. Oh, what it's worth? Who cares?
What accent is this?
It's a weasel. I think it's just Weasley, dude. He's like, oh. He opens up a trench coat. You also want these?
In communist Russia, NFT owns you.
yeah. All right, Jason Inman's Yakov Smirnov is out of the park. Amazing. Are there any other projects kind of you have in mind after the finale of this series?
Well, I'm hoping to take Super Best Friend to a publisher.
Nice.
I wanted to take it to Kickstarter first because I kind of wanted to do whatever I wanted with it. I didn't want a publisher to tell me, no, you got to write it this way or you got to do this way. I was like, no, I want to do it this way and I don't care. I want to do some hollow covers. I wanted Electric Superman in there. It's going to happen and I don't care. I'm working on another project with an artist that is sort of a cowboy. I would call it the Cowboy Bebop of climate change.
Oh, yes, I'm here
That's
for
cool.
it. I'm bummed that the show got canceled, so I need some more.
Yeah, and then
you should sign Shane's petition.
I know, right?
But other than that, no, not really. I mean, everything else I'm doing is like tied up under so many NDAs I couldn't even hint at it.
Fair, yeah, fair. That's awesome.
But
it's protected by the blockchain. It's very fun. It's very non-fungible. What he's working on. Like
You're not gonna let that guy
go. It's come on. No.
Let's just say NCIS, the creators of NCIS would not be very happy. And what I mean by that is CBS. I'm not working on NCIS. Sorry, that was a joke that didn't.
I was like, ooh,
we're just going with
a comic book on NCIS.
You know the NCIS blockchain NFTs?
Yeah,
great. They're lovely.
There's only 3 letters allowed. CBS NFT. Coincidence, Katie? We're getting to the bottom of this. Just keep digging. He'll break. Jason will break. He'll break. Okay, let's take a look at this Dan Jurgens cover. He'll break. I promise you he'll break. I'm kidding, Jason. I'm not showing you no Dan Jurgens. You promised it to another, and it's okay. Geekscape is
everybody will
take
see
a look
it
at
wide in like 10 hours.
Yeah. What you got to do is go over to that website. Go ahead and go to superbestfriendcomic.com and you can find the whole Kickstarter thing. At least you can get alerts. Go to that website, sign up for alerts, and then in 10 hours when the campaign goes live, you can take a look at everything and see all the incentives.
And I should say, I just want to point out to everybody, I know a lot of people out there are like, well, this is the second one, but I haven't read the first one. Just like Silver Age Comics, if you read the second one, I have a thing that tells you the entire story before you ever get there. But also, for anybody coming around, the $5 tier is issue 1.
Perfect.
And let's
so you can catch up real quick.
And so many of these Kickstarters, that $5 is just for a single issue. You go towards the second issue, and I'm guessing you get the first one, right? Like you get the first issue, even if it's as a PDF for $5, and then you get the second issue when that comes out. So for $5, you get both. Is that correct?
Not technically. No, for 10 you get both. I'm sorry.
For 10 you get both.
Okay, I have to pay my artists a living wage, Jonathan.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. We all understand that. And Geekscape, you want to help the indie creators, because we just well, there's no danger that he's going to bring back the Sentry.
That's right. I will not bring back the Sentry. I might bring back the Terrific Tree.
Ooh,
something like that, or the Voidish. Terrific Sentry.
You're working on that NDA, dog. You're actually working on a cease and desist right there.
I am. But I'm
animating it.
I will say, like, I have this actually in block letters on most Kickstarter campaigns I've ever done, especially the comic book ones, where I say independent comic books not made by the big 2 companies, Marvel and DC, are labors of love.
Yeah.
Because no one makes money in comic books. And if you think somebody makes money in comic books, I don't know who sold you this beachside property in Arizona.
I'm going to use that phrase from now on.
Wait, no, that was Lex Luthor's plot, was to sell you beachfront property in Arizona.
It was
the plot of Superman 1.
Yep.
That's what he did.
Yep.
That is what he did. Okay, speaking of characters showing up and other stuff, let's just close by can we just, I don't know if you're even watching this show, Jason, but can we actually have this conversation about the last episode of Book of Boba Fett, which is really just an episode of The Mandalorian.
I have.
Did you know about this? Okay,
I have seen it.
So that Boba Fett episode.
You mean Mandalorian 3.1?
This, I love The Mandalorian, and I'm very forgiving of the Boba Fett thing because here's the thing. The Mandalorian season 1 and 2, that was your Boba Fett show. He is not saying a whole lot. He's bounty hunting. He's doing all the things you wanted Boba Fett to do, but Mandalorian's doing them. So you really want the same thing in your Boba Fett show? I totally forgive Boba Fett for being very different than the Mandalorian and being like, hey, I'm going to do gang management or whatever he's doing in the Boba Fett. And he's talking. And Tamir Morrison was like on record as saying he was trying to cut dialogue when like Jon Favreau was on a trip and not on set. He was like, I'm going to try and limit his dialogue a little bit more to push him closer to what the character was. Whatever you think of the Book of Boba Fett, it's a Boba Fett series and Disney owns it. It's Star Wars. It's canon. You're going to have to live with that. But we got a reprieve from it for that one episode 5, where it was basically a Mandalorian episode. Did y'all enjoy this little Mandalorian, jaunt? Jason's staying silent.
Oh no,
I think we're all saying.
I was going to let Katie go first.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. I just don't. I enjoyed the reprieve from certain elements of Boba. I did not like some of the return of some of my not as favorite parts of Mandalorian. I will say this: I am the biggest Amy Sedaris fan outside of the Star Wars universe.
Agreed.
It's just, she's so funny, she's so amazing, she's so brilliant, and they put her in a Jerry curl and threw her in the middle of Tatooine, and I'm just not understanding how I can get to be best friends with Jon Favreau so I can just be in the Star Wars universe.
I think I mean the Tatooine stuff is wearing on me, and I know that Tatooine is going to be a setting, at least in some of Obi-Wan, and I know that it's definitely in the sequel trilogy, which takes place after this, so we're going to see Tatooine later.
I would just really love Tatooine so much.
And I thought this was a problem with the prequels. I would just love for the shot of Tatooine exploding into a zillion pieces, so the Star Wars writers have to literally set their stories anywhere else. When I saw Book of Boba Fett as promised, I wanted to see things like Nar Shaddaa, the smuggler's moon, and places like that where Boba Fett would hang out and get bounties. Maybe we'll see that in Mando. We definitely saw a cool ring world that was reminiscent of Halo and the Ring World series. We saw that was cool, and I thought the locations of the Mando sequences in this episode were really cool, and I thought the fight sequences were cool, and you get Mandalorian lore, but this still kind of felt like a Marvel cutscene that was 40 minutes long, like one of those post-credit scenes where it's like, hey, look, we're going to use this to expand the universe, but say what you will about the story we're actually getting in the Boba Fett series, this took it to a screeching halt, and we just want to get to Boba Fett riding a Rancor. Like, can you just get us to the part where Boba Fett rides a Rancor? Please, if we get to 7 episodes and we don't get Boba Fett riding a Rancor, I think we're all going to be upset. But if you just give us Boba Fett riding a Rancor by episode 7, we will be forgiven. Please, I promise you. That's all you got to do. Episode 7, if Boba Fett rides that damn Rancor, all is forgiven. You heard it here first. The nerds will be so happy.
We'll see.
You disagree?
We'll see. I feel like they've got a lot of work ahead of them. They are basically doing 2 seasons, now 2.5 seasons in one, with 2 different storylines, which I think is a really cool structured choice. There's a lot that I'm not vibing with very well, and I'm trying to find the joy in a lot of these. I just felt like, especially with this episode, there was a lot of walking, and I thought it was cool, sort of like the underbelly of this whole world, but then it was just like, I know exactly where to go to find where to get Mandalorian Beskar gear because we went through every turn of every alley.
I don't mind the slow Western elements that were familiar with Mando. I don't mind living in that. It's patient, it's silent, it's fun. I'm not complaining too much about the Boba Fett series. I think it is what they're designing, and you know what? You don't like it? Go find your Boba Fett series somewhere else. You're not going to get it, so you better like your Boba Fett because this is all you're going to get.
Jason, what'd you think? Yeah.
Well, I'm liking Boba Fett so far because I'm liking that Jon Favreau and Robert Rodriguez have taken the quote unquote most badass character in the entire Star Wars universe and decided to tell a story about trauma, which I think is very interesting.
Yeah.
I agree with you about the Tatooine thing. And I wonder, and Jonathan, I'd love to hear your perspective on this as well, because I wonder if we are seeing the problems of production catch up to Star Wars, because they built this entire deserty set for Mandalorian. Now it was on a different planet. I don't think it was Tatooine, but they literally had that sitting around. So I think as soon as they built that set, Boba Fett was not going to be set anywhere else but Tatooine because they had the set already built.
But you still have the digital screen. You know, that
don't.
technology.
But they only have one digital screen, so both shows have to share it.
And maybe they were using it for Andor. Maybe
Obi-Wan has to share it. So we have 3 shows shooting at the same time.
Some of Obi-Wan was shot in Boston, so we know that they're using practical locations as well. And there is a freeze frame that you can watch online where you see some of the wood behind some of the sets for this Tatooine location.
Yeah.
I think that just from a story element, you can have a desert planet, just don't make it Tatooine. They clearly did that in episode 7. It was a desert planet as a location.
It was Rey's planet,
yeah. I just think that let's have ourselves a little bit of a story variation. Like, let's not have the same X-wing pilots show up. This expansive universe no longer feels expansive.
Yeah, and they're both directors too, right? Or at least one of them, I think.
Well, one was Paul from Kim's Convenience.
Yeah, and the other guy,
and
the other actor that we saw this episode, he was the person who stood in for Mark
Luke.
Hamill.
Yeah,
on the Mandalorian final episode. But it just, as a story, let's get new characters, let's get new locations. Let's really make the Star Wars universe feel like this expansive, anything can happen at any time, exciting thing, which was what we saw in Mando seasons 1 and season 2, was this non-collapse of the universe, but this expansion of the universe, and we were in love with it. Here, I do like the smaller story with Boba Fett. I do like that they're skirting expectations. I am excited to see Boba Fett ride a Rancor. You got to do it. I'm sorry, you wrote it. You got to do it. It's the one thing.
It is the Chekhov's gun of this.
It is the Chekhov's gun. You loaded it. We're gonna have him ride a Rancor.
Well, they also loaded the Chekhov's gun of tiny chainmail for Grogu, which I have to see now.
But I think we're gonna see that in Mando.
Yeah.
Right. We're gonna see that in the Mando series.
Here's the statement I was gonna say about the Mando. I actually enjoyed this episode, and if Mando is in the rest of the season of Boba Fett, and there's a good chance that he might be.
Yes. He's going to be defending the castle or doing whatever.
And he's there for 4 more episodes.
Yes.
Then I have no problem with this episode. But if he's only in 1 more episode, he sort of helps Boba Fett, and then he's like, bye-bye, then I have a problem with this episode.
Yeah.
But if he's there till the finale, like helping Boba Fett, like Boba Fett helped him
put
last
a saddle
season,
on the Rancor.
Yeah.
If
maybe it's made of Beskar.
Maybe
it's made of Beskar.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we have like baby Grogu show up and be like, yo, chill, Rancor, let us put a saddle on you. And the whole episode is just them trying to put a saddle on a Rancor. That's good enough for me.
I would actually be down
good
for
enough
that.
for me.
Can I pitch a fan theory to you guys?
Always.
Yeah, of course.
Always.
Let's do it.
Okay. So you know how in this episode they had a lot of problems with Mando saying the Darksaber was heavy?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, we have a foundling Mandalorian, Yoda. He's a Jedi.
Yeah, he can help him with it.
The Darksaber is his, right? Like that's where I'm seeing this is going.
Well, but he can't give it to him.
No,
Grogu has
to fight it.
Grogu has to fight it out. Well, I think that all that Grogu stuff is going to be over in Mando. We're going to enjoy it. We're going to hints of
not
it here.
Not of Boba Fett, but I'm saying like a Mandalorian.
Right.
Like I think that's where they're going with this.
Sure.
I like the idea of that. It makes sense to bring him in for a full episode without seeing Boba the entire time, if that's kind of the direction they're moving towards.
And Mando has a job now. Mando has to go to these sunken caverns and do his deal, and he's got to figure out this whole thing and resuscitate all this whatever. I'm down. I like characters who we know what they're gonna do, and that's a great plot for Mandalorian season 3. Here, let's just see Boba Fett with his dark Kazakhstan.
Nope, that's not how you
I
say
know that's not how you say it. And let's see him with everybody just go and kick some ass, and let's never see Tatooine again.
I'm down for it.
Until Obi-Wan, and then we're good. I mean, honestly, Matt Kelly's got a brand new podcast on the network. There's the siren. You folks hear it. Matt Kelly's just working around the clock, getting us those podcast episodes. Fantastic, Matt. Good work.
How many steaks did he order at the Spaghetti Factory?
About 14.
14.
And he ate like 2 and then just like dumped the rest.
Oh, can I get this one to go? And do you want a podcast on the network?
Yeah.
So we got this Mandalorian thing.
The insults in the chat, by the way, are just our next level.
What's going on here? No, that is now the boomer alert. Okay,
that's the best. That's the best you can do. Okay.
But Bold T makes jokes, but the second I'm like, yeah, you're right, Bold T, I'm done. A little too old to do Geekscape. Bold T's gonna be like, wait, what? Can I have my Geekscape back? Can I have my free content back? I hope Jonathan only orders olives when he goes to Olive Garden. That's not a defense. That's not a defense, Matt.
Is if you're going to insult our friends, it's just like have better material.
I would say that, but listen, don't question it. Bold T's not the guy with the show. We're the guy with the show. We're supposed to have the material. Bold T's just supposed to do the easy work of like getting sloganisms going. That's it.
Oh, okay.
That's what we're talking.
Got it.
He's like, no, I don't like that. I just have to be obstructive. I don't have to make anything. I don't have to don't hate create. I just have to hate. Okay, let's wrap this up. We got the Boba Fett thing down. I think we all know what to expect for the next 2 episodes. I think that's all we have left.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope.
2 more episodes.
I hope he's way more.
Is it only 2 more?
That makes sense.
This was a 7. I think this was a 7 episode order.
I'm gonna Google that real quick.
Can you please Google that for us? If it's 8, then we're gonna see some more sand. But honestly, this was feeling like the Star Wars universe, as I described it, feels like you have a glitzy travel show, but every episode has to involve Bakersfield somehow. It's just like, oh yeah, back in Bakersfield. No, I don't want to see Bakersfield again. Well, how many episodes are we getting on our Boba Fett?
I do have a question about the Dark Saber.
I'm still trying to find that answer. Not clear. Nobody has a clear answer on this.
Fair. For the Dark Saber, and I don't know the lore as well because I didn't watch the
it's 7. Sorry, 7 episodes.
Rebels. Yeah, I thought it was 7.
I didn't see all.
How
of
dare
Rebels.
you doubt me?
But
the
Dark
season.
Saber, it gets heavy for Mando and then also for Jon Favreau. The transitive property of the weight is that they're fighting against this thing, but the Beskar steel worker, she could just like flip it around. And she's like the armorer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Could just flip it around and like do whatever, and then she passes it back off to Mando, and it's like, oh, this is Mjolnir.
I think there are judo aspects to the nature of the metal, right? Like with judo, you always have to work with inertia, and you kind of like flow to flip your opponent and get, to get an advantage on them. And I think she always says like the armor was saying, fight with the sword, like work with the sword, and the sword wants to be treated a certain way.
Yeah.
Right. It's not a dull object. It's not a blunt force object. It's
right. Which is how they were both dealing with it. I was just wondering if it was like it got heavier for him.
What I always understood from, and again, there is no great explanation to this, Katie. It's kind of like whatever the force.
Sure.
Midichlorians.
From what I understood from what they taught us in Rebels about it was that kind of like being a Jedi, if you are like in tune with yourself and you know yourself, the Darksaber is like easy peasy, no problem. But if you have like conflict and you're like, I don't know if what I'm gonna have for breakfast today, it's like 55 pounds.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I took that as that, this is the conflicted nature of Mando is like, do I really want to be with these Mandalorian crazies?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do I want to give into the cult, or do I want to just go and protect the kid?
Or do I want to go hang with cool Uncle Boba and his Rancor?
Let's go build a ship. Let's build a ship for 20 minutes of an episode. Let's build a ship.
I thought that was I thought that was an advertisement for like the Lego Star Wars game.
I
think
like,
it was an
thought it was
advertisement.
going to be. I thought it was going to be like, oh, we've got a new toy exclusive to the Boba
I
Fett
thought it was an
series.
advertisement for somebody finding an old warehouse of episode 1 toys and being like, can y'all put this in the show? We got to move these. Like,
we need to paint a bunch of
but
these yellow ships silver and resell them.
These wouldn't make a lot of sense for bounty hunter to be transporting any bounties in, but sure, maybe like I want
room. There's no
I
room
want to
in that
see
damn thing.
it did not make story sense. No, but maybe they will. Maybe they're going to open up. Here's what we got, and you heard it here first. Geekscape is fan theory number 1. We open on Mandalorian season 3, and he got this ship. It's so fast, right? He pushes a little button, it goes zippity zip, but it's got like a bunch of tethers to it, and he's just got a bunch of like frozen bodies hanging out in the back, and he's just dragging them through space, or maybe he's got them tied to the ship, and it looks basically like the Griswolds in Vacation, and he's just got a bunch of stuff strapped to the ship, and he's just traveling around the spaceways, being like, "Got to deliver me some bounties." Oh, and I got to deliver.
It'll go real fast.
Can't deliver them warm anymore. Can't promise that. I can bring you in only cold because you're gonna ride on the outside. Right. How about that? That is my fan theory.
And I think he's also the one that drives by your house during podcasts. They're like,
Matt Kelly, can we get the Mandalorian a podcast episode? Any chance? Is there any chance?
I will contribute 70,000 geek coins, Geekscape coins to that production. Okay.
So let's do that. Let's do that.
I'll fund it, Matt Kelly.
Fantastic. Just to prove I'm not waxing poetic and making up garbage about being number 3 in Russia, we actually have a Russian fan right here. He says something. All right, that is. I think that's just Russian spam that came through.
I think this live stream is now going to be hacked.
We're going to totally be hacked.
Toilet. Those are the only 2 things I know in Russian anymore.
Matt Kelly says, "Oh, cool. The Russian listeners are in the comments. I wonder if they want a podcast." All right, Geekscape. That is it from Geekscape for the week. Bolty's laughing. He says, "LMAO. I love that the young kids can still type LMAO. From this boomer to the fans, thank you for helping us with that lingo." Fuck. All right, let's wrap it up so we can all go to dinner and Jason can go back to prepping his Kickstarter and donating exclusives to his other friends. All right. No, fuck. I'm joking, Jason. We got you. You are the exclusive. You are our non-fungible friend.
It's just,
okay?
Hey, when this podcast is live, you'll be able to see it. I got to get some press, Jonathan.
Heck yeah.
Do you want to show the other cover?
I'll
give it to you. Do you want to show the other cover?
No, dude.
You want to show the other cover? You can show the other cover.
It's too much work. It's too much work, Jason.
I think you should bring up Matt Kelly's recent
comment. Yeah.
He goes, "Jason, you ever lose donators because of a podcast appearance before?" They're donors.
Matt?
They're donors. But yeah, Matt.
Matt, look at me in the eyes. Yes.
Also, I want the Terminator donor.
I think I've lost everybody in Russia.
Oh man.
I went to Crimea and did comedy 3 summers ago. So they love me in the Russia. Well, the Ukraine.
I'd love to visit.
I don't know what Crimea is anymore. Crimea is kind of in flux right now.
Well, you've definitely lost them now.
They did love me. All right, Geekscape, that's it. What we want you to do is go to the Kickstarter. It's the final time I'm going to tell you right now. Superbestfriendcomic.com. If you're listening to this, just go over there. Either go visit the Kickstarter, or maybe it's not live yet and you're just going to get a little notice. Okay, sign up for that notification. Get on the mailing list for that one. And also, you're going to share this with your friends and be like, "Hey, you like NFTs? Now you like Geekscape. Share it with your friends and tell them that we are very fungible and we're free. So just share us all over. You can follow Jason on Twitter at."
That's at Jawin, Jawin. And you can come over and listen to our podcast, Geek History Lesson, which Jonathan has been a guest on several times, where we teach you about geeky characters.
Yes, I have. Katie is El Sassy Pants.
EL Sassy Pants. Yeah, with an S on the end, unless it's either TikTok or I think Fortnite. I think I just realized that I never got the S on my Fortnite character. But Z, it might be El Sassy Pants with a Z. I didn't get kicked off of Fortnite. It's fine.
All right. Well, you can find me on all the Boomer tubes. It's at Jonathan London or at Geekscape. Just search for Geekscape. Subscribe to all our shows. Make sure Matt Kelly still has a roof over his head. Subscribe to the podcast on whatever podcatcher you want. Leave us those 5-star reviews and be like, "Hey, this Boomer knows what he's saying." All right. I'm like 1 year away I was literally 1 year away from becoming a millennial. I am a Gen X. And I'm proud of it because I'm not even supposed to be at work today. All right, Geekscapists, that's all we have for you. We love you.
Is that a reference from Dallas?
That was a reference from Clerks. Okay.
Not Slandy? Not Slandy?
No, don't start with me. Don't start with me, Inman. Don't start with me, Inman. I've got your fungibility right
Back
here,
when
pal.
I was watching the Bob Hope show.
No, okay, that's enough of this.
Newhart.
I'm going to go tank the economy. Bye, everybody.